Okay, welcome to the program agenda. You caught me off guard once again. Mukhang nagkakaproblema tayo sa ating mga messaging here. But anyway, welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And the time is 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday, August 6, 2021. And for those of you living in Metro Manila, it's the beginning of yet another major lockdown, quarantine, enhanced community quarantine, and our sympathies go with you. Pero hindi naman po kami nalalayo kasi may tao dyan sa DOH pinagbabalakan daw mag-declare din ng ECQ. Pero dito sa Batangas, kami ay naka-GCQ with enhanced restrictions. But anyway, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star so that we can all catch up. But don't forget, you're watching us via Cignal TV channels 8 and 250 kasi po may mga nagtatanong, Kuya, meron bang agenda sa ganito ganon? We are exclusively in Cignal TV channels 8 and 250, but you can still watch us on facebook.com/onenewsph, or para sa mga hindi gumigising ng maaga at pinapanood replays, you can also watch us via YouTube, One News PH, and if you download the Cignal Play app, you can watch us at your convenience. Okay, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star, August 6, 2021. And there you have it at the top of the paper. U.S. at East Asia meet rejects China Sea claim. Kumbaga, pumosisyon na. The United States has openly taken the position rejecting the China Sea claim. To the right of the upper ear of the front page, you have the latest tally of COVID cases. And the bad news is, as of yesterday, we're back at the 8,127 cases. Yesterday, 8,127 new cases. So mataas po. Mas masaklap, more concern is the number of deaths. 196 people, Filipinos, passed away yesterday from COVID-19. So ito po, no matter what our sentiments, I think many of you like me has resentment of being restricted, being told to stay home, etc. Or nakakapiko na dahil ang gulo-gulo o nakakalito. But the number of deaths kind of sober us up to realize that COVID-19 kills people. If you're not vaccinated, you basically have a bullseye on your back. Thank God for the people in the local governments. Medyo marami sa atin nababakunahan na. Yours truly, I have been double vaccinated. Thank you to Vico Soto and his Pasigueño team. Now, going back to the front page, okay, the headline. Ito po ang malaking issue kagabi, kahapon, and will be today. Thousands swarm vaccination sites in NCR in the wee hours a day before the implementation of enhanced community quarantine after a false information or tinatawag ng mga nasa pamahalaang fake news circulated that only the vaccinated will receive cash aid or ayuda during the hard lockdown. The Palace or Malacanang or the Duterte administration clarified that COVID-19 vaccination is not required to receive ayuda. Now, short comment lang po dyan. Kasi po, 3:00 pa lang ng madaling araw, marami nang pumila. So many, hundreds, thousands of people started lining up beginning at 3 a.m. yesterday, Thursday, in different malls and vaccination areas in Las Piñas City. Okay, now what happened? Yung 700 jobs available would not have been any match for the 3, 4, 5,000 people who were going to all those vaccination sites. Eh, nangyari, nagkatulakan, paano ka magkaka-social distancing? Very social na nga eh, kasi dibdib sa likod, tulakan na, etc. And then, government official said, fake news yan. Point one, if it's fake news, what are you gonna do about it? Pag fake news about your enemy, Manny Pacquiao, sige lang sir, imbestigahan namin. Pag fake news attacking the opposition, sige lang, we will look into it. Pero pagka ganyan na fake news, you use it as an excuse, but do you catch the people who circulated? Now, number one. Number two, was it really fake news or public fear? Because, some people haka-haka lang eh. Haka-haka, nagiging balita. Iba po yung fake news sa haka-haka naging balita. Kasi it's clearly indicating confidence, public confidence, whether there is a system that people trust, rely on, etc. So, yan lang po, no? Kasi people are gonna start saying, it was fake news. And then, here's the thing. What happened there? We're talking about checkpoint this, checkpoint that, 70 checkpoints all over Metro Manila. And you people, the PNP and the local government could not even put those places in check. Kumbaga, hindi nyo na-control yun eh. Now, I pity the mayor of Las Piñas because I'm sure and the barangay captain in those areas, I'm sure they're going to get help from Malacanang again. But, here's the thing. People are already confused. They are afraid. So they will take matters into their own hands. Ayan po, nakikita nyo yung video. Dinadagsak, takbuhan na ang tao. Mask pa yan. Hindi mo mapapare. Magdala ka pa ng patpat. Mabuti na lang po ang Pilipino. Mabait pa rin. Hindi nagkakarambulan. Hindi nagkaroon ng riot dyan o batuhan. Okay? Now, last but not the least, ayan, we keep talking about vaccination. It's good that the Filipinos now want to be vaccinated, but their government is still depending on donations. Biglang babawiin ninyo yung BFA cancellation dahil naabigyan kayo ng abuloy. It is pathetic that Filipinos are suffering like that, and the national government is basically saying, we will have all the vaccines. And then as of last night, naku po, sorry na lang Arabic, sorry na lang mga kaibigan, talagang nairita ako kahapon sa balita. Sabi raw ng isang magaling na Secretary of Health, baka raw mag-deklara ng ECQ sa Calabar Zone, it's Bulacan, etc. Baka sabihin na naman yun, nagkakalat akong fake news. Lumabas sa balita and then, sabi nga namin tinipid nyo ang probinsya sa bakuna, inubos niyo dyan sa Metro Manila, pagkatas ngayon, wala kayong maibigay. Ay, naku po, let's move forward to the front page. Baka ako naman ang mabakunahan dito. Okay, stay home or you will be arrested. Ayun na naman, stay home or you will be arrested. This is the warning of Interior Secretary Eduardo Año to Metro Manila residents on the first day of the enhanced community quarantine in the National Capital Region. Año said non-uppers might continue the transmission of COVID-19. Alam niyo po, mabait naman ho itong si Secretary Año. I've dealt with him. He's a good and decent man. He's a dedicated family man, I think. Pero alam niyo po, sometimes may mga taong magtrabaho na lang, wag nang magsalita. Kasi ilang beses nang nangyari yan kay Secretary Año, magaling naman yung mga spokesperson niya. Nando doon si Jonathan Malaya, nando doon si Usec Densing. Pati na, pero wag na kasi parang yung you will be arrested. Ask people for their cooperation. Treat people civil, treat them as competent and responsible, and they will act. Kasi people respond to how you treat them. Puro na lang takutan. Pagkatas tatawagin pa nung iba dyan, Pati nga may mga ibang reporter nakakairita, sarap batuhin ng yun, ng bakya. Alam ba niyo kung ano yung bakya? Sasabihin mga pasaway. Paano mo sasabihin pasaway? Pumipila nga, yan, today, this morning, doon daw po sa Commonwealth, ang tao raw po, nasa kalsada, nag-aabang. Pinayagan niyang magtrabaho, apor, wala namang masakyan. Tapos tawagin niyo, pasaway. Ewan. Health Department detected 116 new Delta variant cases in the country. This brings the total number of the highly transmissible variant to 331. DOH has yet to confirm the community transmission of the Delta variant, but they urge LGUs to take aggressive measures as if there is already community transmission. Nga po, no? Sabi nga, kaya ano pa ang itawag mo dyan, nandyan na yan. Ang tanong, ano ang gagawin natin? We need vaccines. We don't need bridges. We don't need highways. We don't need free rides. Pinupolitikan nyo lang yan para sa eleksyon. Bigyan nyo kami ng bakunahan, iboto namin kayo. Yan po, siguro. Give me vaccine or I don't vote for you. Period. Ayun na po ang labanan. Anyway, para naman sa inyong medyo kailangan magpakalma tayo. Magpakalma. Sa inyong wala na. Hilong-hilo, litong-lito, gulong-gulo, busit na, asar na. Medyo kalma tayo. Ito po, pumili tayo ng verse from the book of Isaiah in the Bible, chapter 41, verse 10. So do not fear, wag kang mabahala, for I am with you. Kasama mo ko. Do not be dismayed, wag kang madismaya. Mali, hindi naman Tagalog yun. Dismaya, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Maninindigan ng Panginoon para sa atin, tutulungan tayo. We've been through this before. We will survive COVID-19. I just hope we also survive the stupidity and idiocy of some government officials who have added, alam niyo po, fake news is not the issue. The issue is incompetence in public communications. Kadami-daming pera, milyon-milyon ang pera nila, ang dami-daming cabinet members at opisyal at mga kanilang pati troll farms. Pagtapos wala, ayan, natatalo pa raw sila ng fake news. Yan na po, no? Okay, mag-usap na lang tayo ng matino. Pag-usapan natin yung matino-tino kasi instead of false, let us go to science. Kasi mukhang mas mabuti kung pag-usapan na lang natin ang siyensya, science in the Philippines plus yung mga ginagawa ng ating mga kinaukulan. Okay, it's been more than a year since COVID-19 was first detected in the Philippines. Since then, many individuals have dealt with depression, anxiety, other mental health-related issues as they face the pressure to be functional. To talk about this, we have with us Dr. Joan Rifareal, Fellow of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Good morning, Doctor. Medyo complicated yung pangalan mo, Rifareal.
Yes. Good morning po, Sir Cito, and good morning po sa lahat po ng nanonood at nakikinig po sa program ninyo. Thank you very much po for inviting me.
Okay,
medyo complicated, but Joan is okay po, Sir Cito.
Okay. You are, I presumably, because you are a fellow of the Philippine Psychiatric Association, yes, you're a psychiatrist.
Yes.
Ngayon,
po.
Pwede mo ba kumonsulta, doktora? Sa nadinig ninyong few minutes, may sayad na ba ako? Or am I manifesting aggregation, violence?
In fact po, Sir Cito, during this time po, no, as mentioned earlier niyo po, no, na we are more than a year into this global health and global health crisis po. It's normal po to feel all of these emotions, all of these feelings, reactions. Normal po, Sir Cito, kasi talagang lahat po tayo nakakaranas po, no, ng symptoms or feelings of anxiety. Ito po yung parang pangamba, takot because of the loss of control, uncertainty of the times. In fact, Sir Cito, talagang we are not certain, or we do not know kung anong outcome or ano ang magiging, di ba po, ang kalalabasan po of this pandemic. And ang iba po, ang feelings naman po nila are frustration. So normal po yon, frustration, anger, irritability because of various issues po and concerns. So it's normal po. That's why there is that parang line ngayon na medyo nauuso at narinig natin recently, no? It's okay not to feel okay during this time. Kasi all of our emotions, in fact, everything po, all of our emotions are valid given the very abnormal situation. It's the situation now which is abnormal po. Kasi ito po ay talagang it's a crisis. No? It's a public health crisis po. And it has been here for a long time already. Kaya di ba, Sir Cito, narinig natin na itong when we are here na ngayon in this new normal, quote-unquote po, marami pong mga bagong terminologies na which came out, no? New concepts which came out po during this time because of the prolonged na public health crisis po natin, like pandemic fatigue, cabin fever, and all of these po can really elicit po mga emotions po or itong mga iba't ibang klaseng reactions from us, which are again normal and natural because of the current medyo traumatic po, di ba po, Sir Cito? The situation which we are currently going through, which can be po, really, it can have psychological impact on us, especially po sa mga iba't ibang, may mga studies na rin po kasi, Sir Cito, no? Especially yung last year, no? This was, maraming studies in fact, no? Globally po, marami na silang studies which looked into what you mentioned earlier po na dumadami ang nakakaranas ng symptoms of anxiety, depression, distress, trauma. In the Philippines na lang po, meron ginawa sila Dr. Michael T. From last year po, no, it was published online, and it showed po, no, na among Filipinos tumaas po, no, nagkakaroon po ng moderate to severe levels of that feeling po, no, of psychological impact brought about because by this pandemic po, tumataas ang symptoms of depression, anxiety, distress, usually po among the youth, yung mga kabataan, females, and yung mga students po, and those on prolonged po na confinement in the homes.
Okay, matanong ko lang, no, what I think I think we are logically presuming that there is a mental health impact because
Yes
of this
po.
abnormal situation. But how do these things impact the people we are confined with? Kasi klaro naman na many of us can't go out, and those who go out will still go home, and siguro pag umuwi yung apor umuwi, may sumbatan din siguro eh. Baka pag dumating yung mister, sabihin pagod na pagod ako sa trabaho. Ako pagod na rin ako nakakulong eh. Dahil mo sinasabi I'm almost picturing what's happening at home, and I've heard of children, young kids becoming rebellious because they have so much pent-up energies, hormones, etc.
Yeah.
And parang, how do you think will all of this impact the way Filipinos are in the coming years? Will it make, kasi like in Israel, very suspicious sila, very cautious sila because of the war. They are, a generation that grew up with a never-ending battle and violence.
Yes po, which is really understandable, no, Sir Cito, na talagang it may have some impact or implications po in terms of the relationships in the home. Especially kung again, with that concept po, no, na we are confined for a long time na po sa ating mga tahanan, especially kung, syempre, ang shared space natin is medyo not so big and medyo marami po tayo nakatira. So sometimes po talaga nagkakaroon, no, ng mga iba't ibang emotions per individual. So kaya ang isa pong lagi namin tinuturo po to handle situations like this is of course po to really po set a ano po sana, no, yung that specific area, parang set boundaries at home wherein po pag bigyan natin ng kanya-kanya muna, no, na parang me time ang isa't isa po para hindi naman tayo lagi pong conflicts, nagkaka-clash po in our home. So, especially po sa mga bata, they have a designated area po kung saan, or yung mga nag-work from home, very important also to, ang mindset always is that even if we know na this is temporary, let us still, no, in our heads pa rin po, make sure that we have that specific workplace or area kung saan pag tayo ay nakikita nila na nakaupo tayo doon in that specific area, alam nila na we shouldn't be disturbed or be bothered po by anything kasi naka-focus tayo sa ating mga tasks for the day. Ang ano lang po dito, Sir Cito, it's really understandable. We should acknowledge that na talagang sometimes po, no, our emotions really can get heightened. Lalong-lalo na kung sabay-sabay po or patong-patong ang mga concerns like security, safety, lalo na kung kasama na po dito yung mga nawalan po ng mga livelihood, sources of income, frontliners, syempre may mga pangamba na ma-bring nila sa mga kanilang tahanan ang kanilang the ano po, no, possibility of infection. So kung nagkakasabay-sabay po yun, there can be that feeling po of heightened ang ating emotion. So ang lagi din po namin pinapaalala is to, of course, step back na muna po, no? If when we feel that our emotions are heightened, and pag ano po, no, feeling natin parang very ano po tayo, emotionally charged, step back, ano muna po, pause for a while before you say or do anything kasi we know that when we are in a highly stressful na state or emotionally charged state, our judgment can be clouded and we may say or do things po na parang hirap na po natin siyang bawiin, no, once we let it out na po. So ano muna po, para there is that peace in our homes pa rin po. Mapanatili po natin ang
How
peace
do
in
you,
our homes.
Doc John, Doc John,
Yes po.
paano mo malalaman kung whether you are still being, whether you're already affected, as in, ako na lang, let's say, ako as
Yes po.
a media person, ano, how would I know if I am still doing my job, observing, commenting on the officials, government officials,
Yes.
or if I am as an individual already resentful. Kasi ako naman nirerendahan ko yung sarili ko eh. Pero may mga araw na gusto ko nang murahin. I'm just being totally transparent. Gusto ko nang murahin on air dahil parang untenable na. And I kind of step back and I ask myself, teka, ito ba trabaho o pine-personal ko na ito? How do people go about determining if they're, kasi like depression, Doc Joan, ano, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I've gone through depression a number of times in my life. And the bad thing about depression is it's not like COVID or some other disease na mararamdaman mo physically immediately. Kumbaga, lalagnating ka, may sugat ka, ang depression hindi. Para kang hinihimas ng konti-konti, bandang huli pag biglang na-realize mo, ay nako, ano ito?
Correct po. Yeah, correct po. I agree, Sir Cito. So, maganda pa rin po, when we always po, no, should find the balance po in everything po. Let's find the balance in everything that we do, we say, we hear from the news, etc. Para po, this will guide us. Kasi let's always remember po na ang emotions po natin, di ba po, it falls on a spectrum. Lahat po, no, ng reactions natin, emotions, pananaw, no, perspective po natin sa mga bagay-bagay, nasa spectrum po yun. No? So it's not, ang mga situations po, it's not always right or wrong. So there can be that area po where compromises can be made. Hindi rin po siya black or white. No? There is that gray area wherein we can find common ground. So ang tandaan po natin always is parang may mga, we find the balance in everything. Like for example po, yung na-mention niyo po kasi kayo na sa introduction, like the fake news, social use of social media, for example, Sir Cito. Yeah, during this time kasi, we should acknowledge na technology is here to stay. Talagang, so meron siyang, pag ganun ang tingin natin, meron siyang mga good, good points or advantages, like it keeps us connected. Despite the physical distancing ngayon, nagagamit natin siya to keep in touch with our loved ones. Lalo na kung mag-isa tayo and we feel isolated, kasi pag isolated tayo, nakakataas po siya ng risk for having symptoms of depression, anxiety, kasi we feel lonely. So, gamitin natin siya sa paraan na positive, but of course, make sure na wag naman tayo mag-fall doon sa other end of the spectrum wherein it will, the social media or use of technology will take control over us because of the fake news, disinformation, misinformation, and because of those, information overload tayo. No? Yung tawag lang ngayon, Sir Cito, na infodemic, di ba? Bagong term din yan ngayon, na, which can, of course, affect our mental state because of yung anxiety, no? na tumataas ang ating anxiety and symptoms of depression because of the constant barrage of info which can be unverified from sources po, no, na hindi credible. So let's always, in our heads po lagi, hanapin po natin yung balance lang siya lagi. Kasi in any naman po na situation, there's something good, there's something not so good about it, but let's find the balance.
Okay, now, how are Filipinos doing under the present situation? Kasi alam ko, ang laki ng organization nyo, the Society of Psychiatrists in the Philippines. What's coming in from the field? Are you getting reports of really serious problems, like yung mga hiwalayan? Kasi ang nadidinig namin lagi, and I don't know why it's always highlighted first, ay yung mga sexual abuse, etc., or domestic abuse. Pero hindi na na-highlight yung mga ibang bagay din. What's coming in from the field?
Yes po. Kami po, the Philippine Psychiatric Association, in fact po, Sir Cito, konti lang po kami. Hindi talaga po kami as big as the other organizations, the medical organizations. Currently po, there are just, siguro po, mga board-certified psychiatrists, around 500 plus lang po kami for the 100 million population po natin ng Filipino. So konti po kami in terms of ratio, no, per doctor to number of
dahil ba yan mahina ang kita o ayaw maaamin ng Pilipino may problema sila?
Hindi, konti po ang nagte-take up po ng psychiatry but now po we are seeing na mas dumadami na po because of the advocacy on mental health. Mas dumadami na po recently po, in the recent years, mas dumadami na po ang mga nag-a-apply, no, for psychiatry residency training.
How are Filipinos doing? What's coming in from the field?
Yeah. Ngayon po, kahit sa practice ko na lang po, talagang there has been an increase in the number po, no, of consultations simula nung March of last year, 2020. Sa sobrang dami po, Sir Cito, no, usually po talagang nagtutulungan na kami lahat, no, kung hindi na po kaya ng aming own clinic schedules, nagre-referral na po kami kasi nga po we can feel the need talaga po for support, mental health and psychosocial support during this time. Ang mabuti po is there is always that crisis hotline ng National Center for Mental Health, which is available po 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take in mga calls, emergency calls po. And aside from that po, ang sa personally po, sa akin po under my care, usually po they would present with symptoms of anxiety, depression, dahil po usually po because of concerns about uncertainties ng panahon. Yun po talaga. Marami pong kinakatakutan be it finances, financial situation, the job security, safety po in terms of health, and of course also po yung mga students na medyo marami din po because of that transition to distance learning or online learning, medyo lang po nagkaroon lang sila ng a bit of difficulties with the adjustment period last year. But slowly naman po, they have adjusted it according to those under my care. So, nakaka-adjust naman po.
Ayan, lumalabas pare-pareho pala kami ng pinoproblema. I avoid worrying, but in the past few weeks, months, I have been thinking exactly of those very same concerns. So, kumbaga, hindi ka Pilipino kung hindi ganyan ang naiisip mo almost. Anyway,
Yeah,
Doc Joan,
opo.
let's go for a quick break. And when we come back, I'd like to bring it to the next level because I'm sure you must be following the sino ba yun? Si Biles, yung gymnast sa States na biglang in the middle of the Olympics, sabi niya, I'm dealing with issues and hindi ako magko-compete at I'm going to deal with this first. And she brought focus to mental health. Simone Biles, no? We'll go for a quick break. When we return, let's talk about people who essentially are stepping up and saying, enough. I'm not going to drive myself against the wall. I'm taking a break. We'll go for a break, and when we return, we will speak with Dr. Joan May Rifareal here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Cignal TV, channels 8 and 250. And this morning, we have Dr. Joan May Rifareal, Fellow of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Dr. Joan, I don't know kung nabasa mo, na-monitor mo, but Simone Biles, the wonder gymnast who has more medals than she has years in life, medyo sabi nga nila, ang dami, sobrang daming medalya, mas madami pa yung medalya niya kaysa sa edad niya. But she was expected to harvest so many gold medals in Tokyo. Then suddenly, parang sabi nga nung iba, nag-iinarte. She started becoming, manifesting odd behavior, started withdrawing, and then she came out and said, no, I'm not competing. I'm dropping out of this event. I'm dropping out of this event, etc. And then after weeks, medyo biglang nag-single event na lang siya, nag-bronze lang siya. Pero sabi niya, I prioritized myself before the competition. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, although Sir Cito, tama po kayo, medyo hindi po ako masyadong into the Olympics po ngayon because of other duties din po sa hospital. But
Yeah.
yes, I've heard about this, narinig ko po ito, and I agree po. In fact po, di ba, always po, no, the statement from the World Health Organization is, there is no health without mental health. And really, we can see from that definition, that statement alone, na mental health is really very important. It's a component po of overall health and well-being. So tama po 'yun. Kung ako po, I would, if ano po, no, if my personal opinion is really, let's acknowledge that sometimes talaga po, no, we have our good days and not so good days when we feel low or extremely down or pressured po siguro or anxious, and pwede po nagkasabay-sabay, no, siguro the heightened na rin po siguro the pressure to perform, etc. So ako po, yeah, kasi if we push someone talaga po to do it, given those mental health concerns or issues, no, wala po kasi when we are going through something po, no, clinical po na disorder, nawawala the focus, affected po, cognitive processes can be affected physically. Our physical state can also be affected po, nagkakaroon ng mga aches and pains, mga unexplainable po, no, ng mga somatic symptoms, nawawala po ang ating motivation, in fact, no, kasama yon decreased energy. So baka lang po, no, she might have been feeling all of these symptoms, cognitive, physical, emotional, behavioral, and these are all valid po na emotions. So hindi po siya arte-arte lang. Yun po ang lagi po namin pinapaalala na when someone po approaches us and tells us about all of these symptoms or feelings po, these are real, di ba po? For the person, these are real, these are very valid emotions, and let's acknowledge it. Hindi po sila arte-arte lamang, hindi sila drama-drama na para lang po mapansin or para po makapag-excuse sila, no? Para makapag-absent sa trabaho or sa school. But really, these are very important symptoms po na we need to be aware of para wag po silang mag-progress and wag mag-complicate into something po na which is preventable naman po, no, like self-harm, suicidal thoughts, etc.
Ayun, kasi may mga alam ako na hindi umimik, parang okay lang, kinakaya, pagkatapos biglang mababalitaan mo, nagbalak ng magpakamatay. Wag naman,
Yeah.
ano?
Wag
Okay
po,
na,
wag po talaga. Ang self-harm po, in fact, Sir Cito, self-harm or any form of self-harming behavior, suicidality, these are preventable po. Although unpredictable, hindi talaga natin siya mapipredict, but highly preventable.
yeah, but
And it is, oo,
Doc
opo.
John, I sadly the focus what gets people's attention is yung mga self-harm, as in cutting ourselves or suicide, ano, or overdose. Pero may
Opo.
iba ring mga form ng self-harm, di ba? There are
Yeah.
other so obvious but we don't see it as self-harm. What are these things? Kasi parang naisip ko lang, wala nang ginawa itong maman to kundi kumain. Parang dinadaan
Yeah.
sa pagkain o et cetera.
Yes po. Other forms po can be manifested in halimbawa po mga risk-taking behaviors na like drunk driving, for example po, or yung mga sinasabi po nila mga activities po which would increase the risk po na tayo ay mapuput into harm's way, no? Like yung mga sinasabi na iba, yung mga risky po talaga na activities kung pwede po.
Sinusugal yung buhay, umaakit ng
Opo.
puno ng niyog, hindi naman umaakit ng puno.
Yung mga ganun po, opo. Yung mga risky na po sila eh. So there is that higher risk talaga po for incurring harm and danger to
Yeah,
oneself.
pero common, di
Opo.
ba, nagiinom na
Yan, kasama po.
alcoholism.
Yes,
And then
substance use. Opo.
substance use, tsaka hindi lang drugs, pati,
Yes.
well, interesting because substance, a lot of the unintended deaths in America is from use of medicines
Yeah.
that were intended to treat depression or treat etc. Parang ang nangyayari, nagiging self-harm nga. Mabuti maintindihan kasi baka mamaya sabihin
Opo.
naman, may mga iba na tayong tagapakinig. Security guard lang naman ako dito, sir, etc. Whether you, kahit po kayo gwardiya o CEO, lahat tayo under pressure. We are under pressure to earn a living, kumita,
Yes.
mag-uwi ng pagkain, under pressure na wag magkasakit, under pressure na gawin yung trabaho nating maayos. Quick tips na lang, last 2 minutes, Doc Joan,
Opo.
quick tips para to at least be able to deal with all of this.
Yes po, thank you po. Of course, quick tips po. Number one is really po to acknowledge all of our emotions po. Acknowledgement po talaga. Because when we acknowledge po na tayo ay natatakot, nalulungkot, or napapagod na, then we it pushes us, it motivates us po to do something about it. So nabibigyan din tayo ng lakas in a way, no? Na-motivate tayo to act on it, do something about it. Number 2 po, always we follow po yung biopsychosocial approach po kasi Sir Cito, our understanding of all of this. Psychologically po, biologically, sorry, make sure that you are physically healthy. Of course, health is wealth. Physical, kasama po doon, eat well, get enough sleep po talaga is very important. When we are sleep deprived, ang dami pong pumapasok sa isip, nagiging irritable, and it can affect almost all of the organ systems of the body. And psychologically po, kung ano yung mga nakatulong dati na coping skills, gamitin natin ulit ngayon. Kasi again, as mentioned earlier ni Sir Cito, this is our third ECQ now, and we've grown, we've survived the first 2 na ECQ. So I'm sure na we can do it again ngayon. And wag pong mawala ng pag-asa. Social support is very important. Reach out po. Mas maganda kung may nararamdaman po, tumawag sa crisis hotline ng NCMH or reach out to your family, friends, and loved ones po.
Ayun, thank you very much, Doc John. Alam mo, biglang naalala ko tuloy. You are so right. Yung being physically fit is important because
Yes.
many of us, including myself, because I had a recent accident, so I was I was not allowed to walk for almost a month. Eh, medyo bumigat ako. Pagkatapos, nung bumigat ako, medyo biglang na-realize ko this past few days, bakit ako parang depressed.
Sluggish.
And I realized it was because I gained weight, because I couldn't walk as good as I used to, because I can't get therapy right now, etc. So naapektuhan din ako. So yung tumaba lang ay issue na. So kailangan magpakondisyon, etc. And then makipag-usap sa eksperto. Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you po.
Dr. Joan. And
Thank you very much po, Sir Cito.
please contact us pag may mga nangyayari or may pag-uusapan tayo because I for one want to open up the doors and minds of Filipinos
Oh, thank
regarding
you po.
psychiatry and
Yeah.
psychiatrists. Kasi dati pang baliw lang. Eh ngayon lahat tayo nababaliw na. Okay.
Ay, opo. If I may say lang po, Sir Cito, yung pinaka-last po, of course, let's work together po to stop discrimination, stop the stigma. Kasi again po, ang mental health concerns are true medical conditions. So hindi po sila arte-arte lamang, hindi sila drama-drama lamang. In fact, treatment is available at talaga pong mataas po ang recovery rates if we are able po to acknowledge it and
Okay.
treat it well.
Tama ka dun, Doc John, kasi ako, first person who tells me I have nothing wrong with me mentally, I will say you're crazy. Okay. Bye-bye, Doc John. Thank you very much.
Thank you po. Good morning.
Okay. Yan po si Dr. Joan May Rifareal, Fellow of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. And let's go for a break. I think we're supposed to go for a break, or are we supposed to go straight to our next guest? Medyo... Okay, let's go to our next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to apologize if things, kung medyo parang sumasabit-sabit kami. Ewan ko, mukhang kami ay hinahak, binavirus. Ewan ko kung ano na po ito. But let's go to the next topic. The World Health Organization looks to start the Solidarity Vaccine Trial in the Philippines as early as August 15. Akala ko ba naumpisa na ito? Pag-usapan nga natin to with Dr. Rowena Guevara, Undersecretary of Research and Development of DOST. The Usec, Rowena, good morning.
Magandang umaga po, Sir Cito, at magandang umaga sa ating mga tagapakinig at tagapanood.
Ano ba yan? Akala ko ba matagal nang naumpisa nitong Solidarity Vaccine Trial, may pera na, etc. August 15 pa pala, tinapat pa sa birthday ng nanay ko.
Ganito po, Sir Cito, ang umpisa kasi nitong ating Solidarity Vaccine Trial with the WHO ay magti-trigger po niyan ay yung pagbibigay po ng WHO nitong tinatawag nating mga protocols at saka kung ano po yung mga bakunang gagamitin. Dahil pag nabigay po nila yon, saka lang po pwede yung ating Philippine team na mag-apply sa FDA ng clearance, mag-apply sa kanilang Ethics Review Board ng ethical clearance. So nung nagawa po yun ng WHO, ang bilis po. in 2 weeks po natapos po ng ating team na mai-apply po lahat 'yan. Hangga't hindi po kasi nabibigay yon, hindi po makakakilos yung ating team. And we are very happy to report na nai-submit na po lahat yan ng team nila Dr. Jodor Lim at saka Dr. Alejandria. So, malapit na po tayo mag-umpisa. Ay, hindi ko po kayo marinig, Sir Cito.
Nako, talaga naman tumatanda na po ako, mga kaibigan. Sorry, Usec, medyo nakadrugs ako kagabi. Anyway, pampatulog. Anyway, yung pinag-usapan natin last time, yung production of vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines in the Philippines. What happened to that?
Nako, meron po tayong 8 local pharmaceutical companies na interesado po na mag-manufacture locally ng mga bakuna. Ang maganda po na involved na po ang Asian Development Bank. Kasi meron po, bago po nag-umpisa itong COVID-19, meron po silang gagawin na pre-feasibility studies para sa Research Institute for Tropical Medicine or RITM po, para dun sa tinatawag nating Vaccine Self-Reliance Program. Alam niyo naman po na tayo sa Philippines, hindi po tayo nakakapag-manufacture ng ating bakuna. Lahat po nung ginagamit sa ating National Immunization Program, about 42 million doses, ay binibili po yan na imported. Tapos po, naisipan po ng DOH na sana magkaroon tayo ng localization, and RITM po yung na-assign nila. At yung RITM naman po, kinuha nila ang Asian Development Bank na magkaroon ng pre-feasibility study para malaman po ano pa yung dapat nating maging estratehiya para pwede po tayo mag-produce ng sarili nating bakuna. So yung ADB po, in-expand nila yung kanilang programa, tinutulungan din po nila tayo doon sa strategy natin for COVID-19 vaccine. So far po, nailatag na po kung ano yung mga criteria para po natin malaan alin pa dito sa 8 kumpanya na interesado ang pinakamalapit na maging successful. So hindi lang po yan. Yung pong ARTA, this is the Anti-Red Tape Administration, ay ginawa po rin nila yung tinatawag na green lane para sa mga gustong mag-manufacture ng COVID-19 vaccines. At bukod po dyan, last na po ito, yung pong ating DTI, BOI at saka NDC ay humahanap din po ng foreign vaccine producer na willing mag-manufacture locally sa atin.
Okay, kayo sa DOST, aren't you undertaking our own? Pasensya ka na, sobra bilib ko sa DOST eh. Marami nga bumibilib daw sa mga scientist natin dito sa Pilipinas eh. Wala ba kayong program to develop our own, our own product, our own concept? Kasi I know one of our regulars here on agenda, Father Nick of Octa Research, UST is trying to develop a vaccine. Now, yung DOST ba, walang ganong program na looking into a Philippine-made original COVID vaccine? Kasi alam mo, pag maghahanap tayo manufacturer, of course, yes, it's faster, pero half of the time, they only give us tingi. Tingi lang ang binibigay sa atin. The rest to the world na naman. Parang yung ating mga export processing zone in the past, di ba? Tatayo, tapos tingi lang na pwedeng ibenta sa Pilipinas.
Tama po kayo sa obserbasyon nyo na yan, Sir Cito. Sa longest time, wala po tayo talagang masyadong development and research for vaccines. Pero po, dahil dito sa nangyari at nakita po natin na may tulog tayo sa area ng vaccine development, kaya po ang DOST po ay nag-propose ng Vaccine and Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines sa ating mga lawmakers. Kasi po kailangan natin ng bagong institute para po magawa yung tinatawag nating vaccine development. At
pasensya ka na, Usec. Yeah, pasensya
Opo.
ka na, Usec, no? Kasi I was speaking with Usec Berhere the other day. And I am one of those who have been pushing for more new hospitals in the Philippines. And sabi niya, sir, it's faster to just improve, enhance the capacity of existing hospitals than to make new hospitals. Kasi, siyempre, you need a law, you need funding, you need assignment of the project, you need bidding, roll out of the project. Baka wala ka na, sir, hindi pa nagagawa yung hospital. Now, I know that the Congress passed or has rolled out yung House of Representatives, no, yung Virology Institute. Pero hindi ba mas mabilis na bigyan na lang kayo ni President Duterte ng malaking pera or ng Congress ng maraming pera and just set up a department? Kasi parang ang thinking, and I could be wrong, no? Parang do you need a huge institute to come up with a vaccine? Parang, hindi ba, kuha na lang tayong office space sa Ayala or somewhere?
Ay, nako, Sir Cito. Una, kailangan nating biosafety level 3 at biosafety level 4 na facility na merong live virus para makagawa tayo ng vaccine development. Wala po niyan sa buong Pilipinas ngayon.
Okay, alam ko na kung saan mo gagawin, Usec. Lagay mo sa Corregidor Island.
Sa ano po natin ilalagay? Sa Clark po natin ilalagay. At baka po akala ninyo wala pa tayong ginagawa. Meron po tayong research and development na ginagawa na nakabase po sa mga maliliit na laboratorio ng ating mga researchers sa universities at saka sa Research and Development Institute. At nabigyan po kami ng DBM ng 284 million this year para umpisa na po yung research ng VIP. Ang wala lang po tayo, yung facility dun sa dulo ng research na kailangan mo ng testingin yung mga live virus. Hindi po natin pwedeng ilagay yan sa mga mataong lugar dahil po may mga security issues po.
Well, exactly. That's why, ewan ko nga, alam mo, Usec, I'm partly kidding but I'm partly serious. I don't know what the aversion of government officials are towards Corregidor Island. Because you know, everybody, I once talked to Secretary Duque. Sabi niya, Cito, yung quarantine is essential. Sabi ko, quarantine kayo. Ayan ang Corregidor, may tourist hotel doon, may mga bunkers doon. Did nyo ilagay, maglagay kayo ng ferry. Now here you're talking about level 3. I know Corregidor Island is historical, but if you need a level 3, level 4 biosecurity zone, parang Alcatraz natin yung Corregidor na yan eh. We could actually put it there, but I'm just talking, no? But my question is this: how much money is really needed to put up a working model lab to develop all of that?
Sir Cito, yung aming 10-year plan for the VIP costs 46 billion pesos. Yung pong infrastructure is just one piece of the puzzle. The bigger piece of the puzzle are the human resource. At saka po, yung kumpanya na magko-commercialize po nitong mga bakuna. Kaya natin nilolocate dun sa isang ecozone like Clark kasi ang aming imagination, doon maglo-locate in the future yung mga magiging vaccine manufacturer natin na tatanggap ng technology mula po sa VIP. They will also need the facility of the VIP in order to do some of their tests before manufacturing. Kaya po sama-sama po dapat sila sa isang lugar na accessible both sa scientists at sa mga industry po na mag-a-adapt ng technology. Kaya hindi po talaga pwede sa Corregidor. At napakaganda po naman ng Corregidor pero hindi po talaga pwede sa ganung lugar.
Nako, ako'y makikipagpit-pitan ako dyan sa issue na yung Usec. Pero let's go for a quick break. Alam mo namang mahal ko DOST, so I'm not arguing with you. Pero talagang kasi hindi papayag yung mga iba. Ako, kung tiga Pampanga ako, nagtatayo kayo ng another Wuhan lab, wag na. Doon na lang sa corridor ilagay para kung may mangyari man, hindi lalabas yung virus doon. Anyway, let's go for a quick break, Usec. And maiba naman tayo ng usapan. Baka sabihin ng tao, Kuyang, may sayad ka pa yata from last night. Okay, nasobrahan sa tulog. When we come back, pag-usapan naman natin yung mga scientists natin. Parang balita ko, ang dami ninyong activity, pati si Fauci yata, nagsalita po sa isang event ninyo. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda with Usec Rowena Guevara. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and with us this morning is Undersecretary Rowena Guevara of the Department of Science and Technology. Usec Guevara, napapag-usapan natin yung science, and meron akong nabasa din the Science for Change Program Bill aims to address the disparity in research and development, R&D, funding in the regions and lack of R&D in the private sector. Kayo the primary research and development arm of government. What is this all about?
Sito, alam mo, yung ating funding for R&D, noong 2016, 85% ang napunta sa NCR, Region 3 at saka Region 4A. Yung 15% na natira, pinaghatian yan nung natitirang 14 na regions.
Wow.
Sobra namang liit nung napunta dun sa mga ibang regions. Ganun din naman kadaming mga scientists doon.
Mhm.
Tapos pansinin mo din na ang R&D dito sa Pilipinas, most of the funding is coming from the government. The private sector is not spending enough. Samantalang sa ibang bansa, 90% ng R&D ang gumagawa private sector, 10% lang ang gobyerno. Sa atin baligtad. So sayang yung opportunities kasi pag nag-R&D ang private sector, mas magiging globally competitive sila. Tapos
Okay.
ako naman, sa tingin ko, we have enough scientists all over the country, dapat equal opportunity naman.
What is the level or caliber of scientists in the Philippines? Wala po akong iniinsulto, wala akong hinahamak dito, no? I'm just being, salamin lang ako, sinasalamin ko lang, I'm mirroring what the common impression is. Kasi dito, you're either a medical doctor or you are a hacker, yung life hacker ba? Kumbaga nakaka-improve ka, gumagawa ka ng cook kalan, ng mga super kalan, mga whatever, no? Parang, and yet when you think America, you're talking about solar power, you're talking about chemistry, etc., fusion, physics, etc. Dito sa Pilipinas, ano ba talaga ang level, caliber ng sinasabi mong napakaraming scientists, Usec?
Alam nyo, Sir Cito, noong 2008, ang napoproduce namin na graduate ng masters sa aming scholarship program ay 17 master's graduates per year. But in the last 5 years, ang napoproduce po ng DOST ay 400 to 500 MS and PhD graduates for science and engineering. At nasa buong Pilipinas po sila. Bukod po dyan, meron pong tinatawag na Wellcome, double L po, Wellcome Global Monitor Trust in Scientists Index. Galing po to sa United Kingdom.
Mm.
Sabi nila, globally, 18% of people have high level of trust in scientists. 18%, global po yan. Noong 2018, ang Philippines po, pang-16 tayo sa pinakamataas ang trust ng mga tao sa scientists. Sa atin po ay 32% ang high trust level at 52% ang medium trust level. Ibig sabihin po, tiwala po ang mga Pilipino sa kanilang mga scientists.
Okay. Meron
Kaya
ba
kami naman
tayong
po,
sorry, Usec,
Sige
kasi
po.
last 2 minutes na tayo eh.
Okay.
Meron ba tayong Academy of Filipino Scientists?
Meron po tayong National Academy of Science and Technology at meron po tayong mga national scientists.
Okay, ganito na lang para medyo nahuli sa biyahe ng ating usapan. I-schedule nga natin, papaschedule ko na today kay Arbic para yung aming executive producer para mag-guest kita ulit at mapag-usapan natin yung National Academy na yan at mapag-usapan natin yung ibang scientists. Kasi sa totoo lang, pagod na ako talking about COVID. I would rather talk about what you guys in the DOST are doing and other things. But in the meantime, Usec Rowena, thank you very much for your time at handa mo na sarili mo sa ating susunod na pagtagpo.
Hanggang sa susunod, Sir Cito.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. That's Undersecretary Rowena Guevara of the Department of Science and Technology. Pasensya na po, nabitin. Medyo nahuli yung tanong na yun, pero at least alam nyo na tinatrabaho pa rin. They're still working, slugging away at the local manufacturing of COVID-19 vaccine. And the good news is that the ADB has joined the fight. So medyo meron ng bunker, ika nga. Anyway, that's all for the week here on Agenda. Please keep it here on Cignal TV channels 8 and 250 and on One News for the latest information and for the news that is current. Okay, I'm Cito Beltran. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. That's Agenda. We are One News.